Hi, it's Kevin May here in the Phocuswire studio at the Phocuswright Conference 2021. Lukas, Zirker, the CEO and founder of Midnightdeal. Thank you very much for joining us today.
It's great to be here.
Okay, glad to hear it. Okay, right. So the concept of Midnightdeal isn't particularly new. And some would argue that it's kind of something that's come back. So we saw this kind of bidding auction process back in the early 2000s. And now you've come along and you're kind of doing the same. So would you say it's something that's coming back into fashion for consumers, or is it something else?
Yeah, I think particularly, right, we try to target the younger audience, which is yet to be the biggest travel segment, being the millennials and Gen Zs. Mm-hmm. And they're really interested in gamified. They're, active bookers who like to have the rudder in the hand, maneuver price up and down, want to have more gamified approach to booking hotels. If you look back in the days, it's the so-called travel by destination versus travel by inspiration, right? If you would go to Booking.com or Expedia, if you know where to go, but I think it's very important for us to curate deals, to show personalized deals. So what might be more interesting for you is not interesting at all to others. And to your first part of the question, I think comparing it maybe to the old concept of Priceline, I think it's very important for everyone, for every customer to know what exactly he or she is going to get, right? So we are never offering just an area where it's okay, I want to have a 4-star hotel, let's say in Manhattan. You always know which hotel you're going to get, which room type, which food and beverages, etc. So you always know on what you're going to bid. Is
that one of the primary things that you've learned from the Priceline model from 20 years ago then?
I think so, because a star rating, a 4-star rating doesn't say anything anymore, right? I mean,
that's very true.
Yeah, you have very good 4-star hotels and you have very bad 4-star hotels, and you don't even know where exactly you go. So it's important to see it from the other way around and really have people bid on a certain hotel, a certain time frame. Obviously, that's also why we don't do vouchers, because I think it's important not to just buy a voucher where you don't know where you're allowed to check in and not. I think it's very important that you know when, which weekend. It's a very impulsive way of booking, and we're a really good product market fit in Europe.
Okay, so you mentioned that it's the younger consumers that enjoy the kind of the gamified, to use your word, aspect of it. Are they the main consumer base, or is it reaching up into older customers as well?
Yeah, I think the core audience is 20 to 40 years old. So yes, it is the millennials and Gen Z, and obviously there's also many people booking like 55 plus. I mean, they have even more money, but I think, we are in this kind of segment. We're not ultra luxury, but the upscale segment, and everyone wants to get a good deal, right? I mean, you can go to a hotel for like 600 euros, but it's better to go for 400, right? You have a better feeling of being there, and it's a more proactive way to book holiday.
How are you getting your customers? What's your marketing acquisition strategy?
Yeah, so we are a members club too. So we have over 100,000 members already. So every day 200 new members joining, and other than that, so that's a newsletter campaign, but we have a marketing mix in place. So we have also social ads, a lot of Instagram. Back in the days, 2018, we were among the first ones who used the story format in Instagram to promote hotels. And now we're also experimenting with TikTok. Obviously, what's interesting, maybe the first 2 years, we did not spend anything on Google Ads. We just started with it because, as a startup where you're not that well funded, it's very hard to compete against Booking.com and Expedia. So this is what we're just picking up right now. That's a mix.
So tell us about TikTok. This wasn't one of my questions. I'm curious now that you've mentioned. So how have you used TikTok?
It's also very new to us, to be totally honest. We run ads there similar to Instagram, but I think it's very important to have the creatives, the ad creatives, not as professional. Does it make sense to say that? I think it makes more sense that it really looks like user-generated content. And we work with a few influencers and content creators, which we send to the hotel, and they send us back videos. But it's very important that they have their unique approach and they know how to reach the audience, right? So that's, I think, the main differentiator.
And so we talked about the reception from consumers. What about the market, the actual hotels themselves? I mean, what kind of questions or concerns do they have about the concept? I know, as we said, it's not new, but it's not something that's been widespread for a while. So talk us about that.
Actually, you know, we are a marketplace, and it's very hard to scale both sides. So, I mean, if we talk about consumers, I think that's currently the harder part to scale, because in the beginning we didn't know if hotels going to accept it, but they're really open to that format, because anyway they distribute themselves on on many channels, right? So if you look about not the peak season, but like, how do you say, shoulder season, like off season, So they really see Midnightdeal as an effective tool to fill the rooms there. And that's most of the time when you look at our calendar, what you can book is that behind it we have like 10 rooms per day in the off seasons, and maybe 2 rooms per day in the peak season. And they see it really as it's just a yielding technology which is directly to consumer. And I think they're just happy with what we're doing, because you know the average occupancy rate in Europe, or maybe in the world, isn't great, especially at the moment.
Correct. Okay, so we all remember Hotel Tonight, that kind of concept, which was, you know, very, very late bookings. Is that a similar type of trend, or are people booking things through Midnightdeal for weeks or maybe months in advance?
Yeah, I think good one. I mean, the Corona pandemic obviously changed the whole situation. Sure. So now it's really short term, like 10 days, 5 days ahead. Like the average lead time from booking to check is like 7 to 10 days currently. Before the pandemic, it was 30 days, 40 days. So not that ultra last minute, but not like much in advance either. I think.
Yeah, okay. So behind the scenes then, how do you get your inventory? Are you contracting or having relationships with all the individual hotels, or do you get it through a wholesaler? How do you get the
good
content?
One. So we see ourselves as an aggregator of hotel content. So the inventory, roughly 50% we get directly. So all the major brands such as Accor, Sofitel, Marriott, and Radisson Blu, we have direct connection with direct contact with them. But also we are working with wholesalers and so-called incoming agencies, which are specialized in certain markets, and we get good hotel deals from them as well.
Okay, and last of all, I think one of the things I've read about you is that you're interested in doing expansion in Europe and stuff like that. Are there any kind of quirks between different types of countries? So in one country, your home market, it's been very popular because that's where you were based, but you might go to a different country like Portugal and people just don't like the concept because for whatever reason?
So I would say we're not that far. We expanded to Germany, but that was really easy. Obviously, it's the same language. Yeah. It's the same currency. So that was a quick one. And actually, the majority now from our bookings come from Germany. Within 6 months, we switched from Austria to Germany. I think now we're expanding to the Czech Republic, and with the Founders Factory, which is actually based in the UK, so it's an accelerator and investor from Midnightdeal. We developed this kind of blueprint, right? It worked in Germany. We're currently, as I speak, we're going to the Czech Republic, and that, you know, works there. New language, new currency. I mean, it's different to the approach here in the US, where you have like a couple of 100 million people or one language. So this is the biggest problem. But other than that, I think we're doing a good job here.
Okay. Best of luck, Lukas. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you very much.